what you get with the FZ1 is the awesome 2002 R1 engine in a really practical chassis. You can do anything on this damn thing. It's real fun. The bike's about 998cc, it's got about 150 bhp. It's more than I could have asked for. The thing is that when you own something like this, when you own a Superbike, the maintenance costs relatively are under check. The biggest cost is the tires. You end up spending around at least around 25 to 30,000 rupees every 10,000 kilometers or 12,000 kilometers depending on how you use it. That's the main thing that people have to understand. What is it like to own a Superbike? I mean, well, ever since I was a tiny little fellow, bikes have always been nirvana. Sitting on my uncle's KB100, wearing a half-face helmet the other way around, because I didn't have a black visor back then. I mean, I would sleep with my bike if I had an option, honestly. But coming back to the question, what are the expectations? What are the expenses? And the list goes on and on. Service costs of the FZ, which is every 10,000 kilometers, costs around anywhere between say 7,000-8,000 rupees to around 12,000 rupees, but would primarily have the oil change and the filter change done. Superbike engines, unless and until they're smashed, thrashed and abused beyond belief, I honestly don't think you require much attention for the engine, provided that your engine oil and coolant and your chain is looked after, which would mean lubing it every say 500 kilometers. Fuel costs would depend on your riding style and the mileage you put in. But for example, I ride daily to work and to the grocery store, in fact, and of course the occasional weekend ride. But it's safe to assume that your bike would average say about 15 to 17 kilometers per liter. The advice I would give is probably to stick to 97 octane because it's noticeably smoother. I mean, everything, the acceleration, the way the bike reacts, the fuel efficiency, there's less jerkiness basically. The FZ ownership has been epic in every way. The power is relentless. I mean, the surge from 4000 RPM when you whack it open is just orgasmic. I mean, she'll scream really happily till about 11,000 RPM. And what I've realized from newer generation bikes like the Z1000 and the Z800 is that unless you're comfortable with a forward bias stance and happen to be taller than 6 feet, you'll have problems with all your joints in the long run or on long trips. And I'm talking about your wrists, your shoulders, your legs in particular. And that's where the FZ1 excels. With an upright posture, you're looking at that fatigue kicking in much, much later. The downside of the FZ1 is the fueling. I mean, it's a bit on and off like a switch. I mean, especially in stop and go traffic, which can tire you out. But then I still don't mind the pain, and I'm sure a lot of you don't, because you're just looking for that little open highway, and it's hallelujah. Everybody lives happily ever after. In traffic jams, your man jewels will detach, I guarantee you, and run away due to the heat. And trust me, mine, they've run away quite a few times. Spares for the bikes are generally expensive. I mean, I come from middle class family background, which I love to bits. My dad was in the army. So whenever there's a buy around the corner, maintenance wise I do feel the pinch. For example, a chain sprocket sets you back by approximately 21,000 rupees, which is eye-watering. But then you look at the bike, and when it's time to change a part, which could be tires or anything else, it's almost like a puppy, man. The bike has these puppy eyes staring at you, and then out comes the wallet. But then you don't feel bad, I mean, initially. Later on you find out, oh my god. Is it practical to just have that one Superbike in your garage? I would think not. You need a second bike or a scooter. The brakes on the FZ1 are brilliant. The stock brake pads, which have a life of about 20,000 kilometers, again based on usage, have ample feel, ample bite. In fact, it's got superb feel. ABS was introduced on the 2013 fall model onwards, and a firm dab is all that's required to kind of bring it to a stop. And while I say all of this, please remember that the FZ1 is a bike that's a generation old in design. They still give the newer lot of Superbikes a run for their money, old school style. Handling is more than decent for a street sports bike. The suspension is supple but firm at the same time, which is obviously adjustable and gives a lot of confidence unless you plan to dethrone Rossi or something. The seats are really wide, and for short hauls it does the job perfectly, but with long rides it does make your butt feel like concrete after about 2 hours or so of riding. A gel seat should solve the purpose though. And make no mistake, the FZ1 isn't a cross-country mile muncher, it isn't. And if you wanted something like that, I would suggest you looked at a Tour or something that doesn't relate to the FZ1. A Tiger perhaps. But then again, let me reassure you, at being an all-rounder, this bike is a bloody cracker. Unfortunately, the production of the bike has stopped. But there are a lot of second-hand FZ1s around there. If you're looking for a Superbike to graduate to from a Supersport and want something that will get your job done, pull your pants down, whack you whenever you want to disconnect from the outer world, you don't have to look any further. Because with the FZ1, you're absolutely unstoppable. This is my story. And this is my FZ1.